Everybody, this is Travis with ThinkKnowLive.Media coming at you on a Triggered Tuesday. Going to be a very interesting topic today. Remember, our goal is to always help you think clearly on days like this. So even though it's a Triggered Tuesday, you may be listening maybe morning, maybe night, maybe live or in the replay, maybe some other day of the week. Our goal today on subjects like this, topics like this, is to help you think clearly, think through, and pass the emotions and get into the logical aspects of these questions. And today we have a very challenging question for everyone, and it's not something that's been settled. It's something that's been swept under the rug, and I just want to go ahead and lift it back up, bring it out into a conversation where we can clearly think through the implications of this. I'll go ahead and get to the question, and that is this. You've already seen the thumbnail, but can or does the LGBT movement, their worldview, does that worldview, can it be reconciled? Can it be worked in conjunction? Is it compatible with the Bible or with a biblical worldview? Does the LGBT movement, the view of the view shared there, is it compatible with a scriptural worldview? Hey, before we jump into something, I want to share some of the stories. I want to share the story that inspired this question, as well as some thoughts that flow from it. But before we do, I want to just encourage you that if you're getting values from topics like this, whether it's our Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday videos, we always try to do 3 different things: help you think clearly, know truly, and live fully. So we hit topics on all aspects of those areas of your life. If you find value in it, make sure, please share this with somebody that's like-minded and likes to challenge themselves and how they live, how they think, and in their knowledge base. So share it, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, and help be an ambassador for ThinkKnowLive.Media. Okay, so let's jump back into the story that actually brings this topic to light. Is actually a story from several years ago in my life. I'm actually just going to give this person a name, so I don't have to keep referring to him as a person. We're just going to call him Billy. We'll go with the proverbial Billy. And I remember it was several years ago, Billy and I, we would get into conversations of all sorts, mind you, all sorts of conversations. Some things we agreed on, some things we disagreed. A couple of things to know about Billy as it pertains to this conversation is that he was a practicing homosexual. Had a boyfriend and different things of that nature that go alongside with that lifestyle. I don't think I need to explain that. And then also, he was a self-professed Christian. And I remember we would have conversations, we would sit, and in this particular case, we were sitting and we were having coffee, we were discussing, and that wasn't the only conversation we ever engaged into. We talked about a lot of things. Again, many things we agreed on, some things we disagreed. This was one of those subjects that we disagreed on. And I began to think about not only how I feel, but just my thought process going into this as it relates to the question, into this story. And I remember sitting across the table from Billy, and I asked him this question. I said, hey, let me throw something at you. I want to get your honest opinion. And he said, sure. And I said, okay, as it relates to morality, just in general, enter whatever it has to do with, whether it's a gray area, whether it's a distinct and clear area, and as it relates to a biblical worldview, I said, it seems to me that if we're wanting to live in a way that's biblically sound, that's doctrinally sound as it relates to Scripture, that Scripture gives us 3 filters to work from. And of course, we could go with any acronym, we can go with any alliteration, but here's where I was at the time, and a question that I still do ask. It's 3 C's. And it's this. I said, so it seems as if that at the first level, at the top level, when we're talking about morality and as it relates to the biblical worldview, again, talking about anything right now, that God celebrates it. That's the top level, is that God celebrates it. He enjoys it. It puts a smile on his face. It makes him happy. And whoever's writing whatever area of Scripture it is, whether it's a prophet, priest, king, apostle, whatever that is, that they express it in light terms. So that's the first level, celebration. The second level is kind of a halfway. It's a condoning. It's a permitting. It may not be exactly what God intended or what God wanted, but it's kind of like he's kind of winking the eye and kind of nodding, kind of maybe tapping the foot, saying, you know what? all right, not exactly what the plan was, but you go ahead, you do you. All right, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Cool with it. And of course, whoever the scripture writer was and whatever area of scripture would reflect in that way. So you have celebration, you have condoning or permitting. And then the third level would be an all-out condemning of that sin or that immorality, whatever it may be. And I don't think I need to explain what condemnation is, but it's a judging against, like, this is wrong. So again, those are the three levels: celebration, condoning, or condemning. And I said, what do you think about that, Billy? Would you agree, disagree? You have any thoughts? He offered a few thoughts, but he said, you know what, all in all, I think I can agree with that. I said, okay. And I had to be honest with him. I said, okay, let me just be straight with you here. No pun intended. You know that's funny. It's okay to laugh. He did. And I said, I asked you that as a little bit of a baiting question, because my real question is, if you believe that to be true, then how can you reconcile the lifestyle that you choose to live and still profess to be a Bible-believing Christian and have a biblical worldview? We went back and forth, as you can imagine, for a few hours, and it was very cordial. Again, we have a great respect for each other when it comes to these conversations. And never really got a solid answer from him as it related. It would always come back to questions of emotion and, maybe historical context, that what was true then isn't true now. And I said, well, okay, where else does that apply in Scripture? Do we get to pick and choose? What I discovered from this conversation was that he was preferring certain areas of Scripture over others and elevating certain areas of Scripture as authoritative in his life. He was cherry picking. And so my question to you today is again, I want you to think clearly, get past the emotions. And I want to finish this video very quickly. I want you to get past the emotions. The question is, does the LGBT worldview, is it compatible with a truly biblical or a biblical worldview? Are those two worldviews, are they compatible? Why or why not? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. For some of y'all that want a private message instead, last week's question, there was quite a few. I'll interact with you that way. That's totally fine. But I want to encourage you to make this a public discourse and conversation. What this is not asking, let me put a couple of rules here. This is not asking whether somebody that is a self-professed, whether they're lesbian, gay, homosexual, so forth and so on, if or if not they're saved. That is an important conversation, but that's not the question. This isn't even about whether or not they're going to hell. Okay, let's be clear on what this question is. Let's think clearly about the question and the topic on hand. Is the LGBT movement, the worldview that surrounds that and is involved there, is it compatible with the scriptural or biblical worldview? I'd love to make sure that we keep our conversation cordial. I'm not interested on anybody on either side throwing stones. How absolutely boring and predictable. That's not what we're about. That's not what you're about. You're better than that. I want you to think clearly. I want to hear your thoughts. Comment or DM. But if you have other people that like to be a part of this conversation, make sure to share and encourage them to subscribe and follow. Hey, this is Travis again with ThinkKnowLive.Media, coming at you again. We want you to think clearly, know truly, and live fully. We'll see you soon.